Debates getting the most buzz online today, and one of the most discussed stories is Arnold Schwarzenegger turning to Twitter to solve California's problems. The Governator wants members of the public to suggest ideas for reducing the state's massive budget deficit in 140 characters or less. One idea has already led to an online car boot sale of everything from cars to confiscated jewellery and computers. So is this an example of the web connecting voters and politicians, or just a headline-grabbing gimmick? Well, in Westminster now is Alberto Nardelli, who runs Tweetminster.com. That's a site that tracks MPs on Twitter. A very good evening to you. What do you make of this effort by the California governor to try and get the electorate involved? Is this just a gimmick, or do you think there's some something real behind this?
I think it's a very interesting initiative. I don't think it's about trying to find solutions to the problem, because obviously you can't provide a solution in 140 characters or less. I think what it's about is asking people to spark ideas, and more importantly, it's about inviting people and fostering participation within finding challenges to solutions. So politicians and voters working together to find solutions. It's about the bigger picture. It's about using new tools to have individuals and politicians work together to solve challenges which are actually common.
Is it lazy by the politicians who want other people, the electorate, to come up with solutions to their problems? Shouldn't they pay people well enough to be doing that job themselves, don't they?
I think not, in the sense that even the greatest idea or the best law or the best reform by itself won't solve a problem. The execution of the idea is actually what will generate a positive or a negative impact. And that execution requires citizens to participate and to work together to run initiatives and run projects and campaigns, so that the laws and ideas, when they're actually executed, they can generate the impact that is intended.
OK, it could all go horribly wrong, though, couldn't it? In California, for example, lots of people already responding to Arnie's call, lots of people calling for legalising of cannabis. Other ideas include teenagers doing public service. In that respect, do you think it can get taken over by weird and wacky ideas, people who just want to generate some kind of buzz of their own, make a headline or two?
Well, absolutely. Every time, that's one of the risks when you try to run campaigns openly. There'll always be people which will try to exploit the openness to drive their own agendas. But I think if you weigh both the pros and the cons, the pros of fostering participation and allowing more people to get involved with solving society's problems, they outweigh the cons significantly.
OK, politicians, of course, get into difficulties themselves by going online. We've seen this video of Arnie himself. He got criticised after posting this video of himself. He was brandishing a knife on Twitter. It was never really quite explained why. And of course, Gordon Brown, he has had his YouTube moment and was heavily criticised for that by one of his colleagues, nonetheless. So they could all end up with egg on their face as well, don't you think?
Again, I think it's part of the risks, and there's different ways in which you can use these tools, and obviously there's more effective ways and less efficient ways, but I don't think that changes the bottom line, which is using tools which foster participation and allow politicians to spread their message and to better connect and engage with people more openly. I think that remains a very valid point, and obviously what's important is how those tools are used.
Well, Labour now has a Twitter czar. What do you think they're going to be doing?
I think that it's a very interesting move. I think it allows politicians to, and in this specific example, it allows the Labour Party to better communicate, not just to better communicate their perspective and views to voters, but actually to allow people to connect and to mobilise around whatever their vision is. So I think it's a very interesting move, and it'll be very interesting to see what the other parties do.
Yeah, and as far as the future goes for Twitter, a lot of people saying, well, it's really hot at the moment and everybody wants to get involved. We've seen Arnie doing it, we're now seeing Labour doing it. But do you think it's going to be one of those things that just runs out of steam eventually? It's here and now. Obviously, you're making a living out of it at the moment, but it's of the moment, and it can't really continue into the future.
I think Twitter's very different. I don't think Twitter is just another social network where you connect with your friends, and when your friends move on to something else, you tend to move along with them. I think Twitter is more about a communication platform. It has the potential to improve the way that we connect with anybody, independently of the fact if they are friends or not. And it radically changes the way we interact with information and connect with other people in real time. So it's actually a different kind of medium, I think. So I don't think that will pass. I think, as the founder of Twitter said when he was on Newsnight recently, the fad could pass if something better comes along. I think that's the only risk.
OK, Alberto Nardelli, thanks very much for your time this evening.
Thank you very much.
Next, the stories that you're searching for on the Sky News website, and the fifth most searched for term today is Climate Camp, as the environmental protest in London gets underway. The fourth most searched term is swine flu, 5,000 new cases of the virus this week, but that's down from last week. The third most searched term is Facebook, after an